What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam. Welcome back to another Comically Boston. Today we are breaking down episode 6 of Skeleton Crew, titled Zero Friends Again, and we'll find out what that title is referring to at some point in this episode. But I love this little poster that was created by, I want to give proper credit, CM Low Art on Twitter. So CM Low Art made this great poster that looks like last week's episode. They got the elder outfit disguises that the kids were wearing, the vault pit thing that they found last episode, Tack Renard's vault that Jude and SM33 seem to have raided in this episode, but we'll jump right on into it. This episode was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. You might know her from the Jurassic World movies. Her father was a director. She also directed some other things like some episodes in The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett. So she's been around. I'm pretty sure she did a couple episodes of Ahsoka as well. So she's a big Star Wars person. But coming off of last episode, Jude challenged Fern for the captain's seat, and he won. So now SM33 has a new captain, and that is Jude, or whatever his actual name is, because we know him as a few different names, but Jude Nana Wood, or Crimson Jack, or Dash Zenton, or Captain Silva, whatever you want to call him, all the same guy, really, Jude Law. But the kids got split up from them because Whim triggered a trapdoor and sent them falling. We didn't know where at the moment, but this is where this episode picks up. But at the end of last episode, we also saw that Jude had that lightsaber. Now, it doesn't necessarily get turned on again in this episode, but Jude is technically kind of maybe a Jedi, so we'll keep an eye on him for that. But we open on the kids sliding down a series of pipes where that trapdoor is leading them, and it leads them to this cold outside world where it's like snowy and stuff. And KB scares Neel because she's not moving, but Fern's like, it's okay, she just needs to be reset, because she's got like servers or something in her head brain thing. She's like, you know, the most droid of the kids, if you would. So we see Jude ends up popping out of like this sewer cover top, and he's got a bunch of like jewels and gold and all this treasure from that vault stuffed on him, and so does SM33 right behind him. But he pops out right under the onyx cinder thinking, oh, I'm just gonna hop in my ship and leave, I'm just gonna need to refuel and get out of here. But Urkel, the right-hand pirate to Brutus, has him at gunpoint and is going to take him in to Captain Brutus and for escaping and, you know, he was in the jail cell for Captain Brutus in the first place, right? So he's getting taken back to Captain Brutus, and Jude Law is just really funny as this character. I'm starting to like him as Jude, but I'm still confused like what his actual story is. Like, is he this pirate? Is he a Jedi? Like, who is he? But we also find out that KB has the coordinates to get home in her brain. So as long as they keep her going and she doesn't, you know, malfunction, they're going to have a way to get home as long as they can get back to their ship. But Fern and KB start to have an argument, and then Fern and Whim have an argument. So Whim wants to go with the trash hermit crabs, and Fern wants to climb this rock wall, but she's not even sure if Neel will be able to make it. But they end up having this argument, and they split up. So KB goes with Whim, Fern goes with Neel. So the groups of friends, right? Like, because normally it's KB and Fern and Neel and Whim. They kind of split up and they go one and one. One girl with a boy, one girl with a boy, and Fern ends up with Neel, and she's climbing up this wall, and little Neel's legs are too short. He's like, I can't do it like you. So Neel ends up teaching Fern a valuable lesson that she needed to learn as well. It's not just about her and what she can do. There's others that she's got to look after too as a captain. So then back on the pirate ship, Captain Brutus sentences the mad Captain Silvo to death by airlock. But he has, they flip over like this time thing, you know what I mean, like the sands in the hourglass, the time runs out, so that he has like a certain amount of time to plead his case type of thing. So he tries to win everybody over, you know, plead his case, and they end up, you know, he ends up telling him, oh, I found Tack Renard's vault, and I found where they make these credits, you know. He tries to win over all these pirates, and he promises them the whole freaking galaxy, and the pirates start to buy in. Brutus is still pissed, but he's like, Brutus makes a better second mate anyways, right? Like, he's a good second mate, but come on, we can go to this planet, and I'm your captain, we're gonna get all these jewels, which seems to be what Jude always promises them, because we saw at the beginning of this series, they showed up and he goes, all the credits you could want. They open it up and it was 1 credit. And that's probably why he ended up in a cell, because he promised them money and he keeps, you know, promising, and then coming up short and not being able to deliver on that promise type of thing. So, who knows if At-Atten actually does have all these credits on it. We know they have some, but does it have a mountain of credits waiting for all these people? Who knows? I'm curious to see how this show sticks the landing. This is episode 6 out of 8, so who knows? We got 2 more weeks left. So then we cut back to KB and Wim, and as they're split up, and KB can't move again, but Fern's not there to reset her, so Wim's got to have like a chat with KB and try and figure out what she's trying to teach him. But Wim and her start talking about Fern and how KB can't talk to Fern because she's doesn't know how Fern will react, and she doesn't want to tell her feelings, and then KB ends up with 0 friends again, and Wim's like, what? That's stupid. You could just hang out with me and Neel. And she kind of smiles, and I'm like, aw, Neel and Wim are such little good boys. But just like the little smile, she looked at like Wim like, and she was worried that she'd have 0 friends again. And that's the title of the episode, because she didn't want to like have an argument with Fern and then be alone, right? So she wasn't telling Fern her real ideas. She only went with Wim because she was afraid to climb the wall that Fern wanted to do. And poor Neel can't climb, so Fern ends up getting a rope to help him climb behind her. KB doesn't look good though, so as they're, you know, things are getting tense, Wim thinks he did something wrong and he's like trying to fix her, and it's like the music gets all tense and you're like, oh no, did he fix her? What happened? And then he it works and KB powers back on and she goes, whoa, that was a close one. And he was like, close to what? And she's like, total system shutdown. I almost, that was bad. But she kind of like smiles at him and goes, thanks Jedi, and then they keep it moving. But I was like, oh, Wim, a long line of Jedis fixing droids. But Wim and KB, right, so as Neel and Fern are climbing up that wall, getting closer and closer to the onyx cinder, they were following, KB and Wim were following trash crabs, and those trash crabs that they thought were helping them led them to a really big crab, and now they think they are food. And then Wim goes, I'm always wrong about who the good guy is, which I just thought was funny because he's thought Jude was a Jedi, thought these crabs were cool, and both times he was like, damn it, they were bad, I'm too trusting. But I thought it was very interesting that this crab was a model in like a miniature scale that they did in stop motion animation, like, and it looks phenomenal. Like, it looks so good in the show that you're like, I can't tell if this is fake or real. And apparently it was real, but it was just miniature and they just made it look, you know, like it was walking. That's so cool that they're bringing back miniatures and models and scale stuff like this into modern day Star Wars, because it feels like the roots of it, where it started way back in the day. But Fern and Neel get onto a transport that is carrying the onyx cinder, and Fern starts to, steer it, and she's like, oh my god, I see them. Neel's like, there they are, they're over there. But they could probably see that it's the kids because there's giant crabs after them. Wim and KB end up able to jump onto the transport that they were carrying, but one of the transports, like, it's like 4 or 5 of the transports on like strings carrying the onyx cinder, and one of them crashes, so then sends everything crashing. The cinder falls into like a trash compactor pit, and the transport they on crash lands, and then they stand up and they're like, we gotta get back onto that ship. But like, you know, just the little time that they had apart did them well, right? Like, Neel and Wim were happy to see each other again. Wim and Fern were happy to see each other again. They all group hug. KB and Fern make up and they're best friends, right? And they hug, and it was like they were only apart for a short little while, but it did them some wonders. You know, now they're back, you know, as a cohesive unit again, and it's fun how quick kids can go from being mad at each other back to being best friends again. Adults don't do it that quickly anymore, you know what I mean? But so the onyx cinder fell into a trash compactor pit, and there's like this little like crab machine that's like collecting the trash and like bringing it into like a furnace or something. So it like starts to collect the onyx cinder, and they're trying to, you know, pull the ship out from underneath this crab trash collector thing. And KB's like, I gotta go work on the engine. So Neel's gonna fly the ship just on throttle. Fern's gonna steer. Wims goes up into the gun to try and shoot the trash thing off, but it's like it's like impenetrable. They're stuck underneath the crab thing. So the one button that SM-33 told them not to hit, Fern hits, and it's like the ejecto hull whatever, like a bunch of bombs go off around the ship, and then it like is another ship, like it's almost like a ship had the exoskeleton of the onyx cinder, and it was just like a shell, and another ship pops out from the inside of the onyx cinder, and they're able to escape, and they end up taking off into the galaxy. And it's like, this is like a new, sleeker, sexier ship too. It looks good. It almost looks like Darth Maul's like Sith infiltrator. They end up flying away, and Fern's steering as they fly up into space. KB's putting out a fire, and Wim says, claims he's on the new ship, as credits roll. But we just see this beautiful new ship taking off into the sky. And then as soon as they like take off from the sky and the credits roll, I'm thinking about it for a half a second, and I'm like, damn, those kids are now flying a spaceship in the middle of a galaxy with no adult supervision at all. Like, at least they had the droid at first, and then they had Jude. Now they have nobody. Like, it's just these kids, and it's like, if they crash, they crash. Like, they took off, but we haven't seen them land it yet, you know what I mean? So, I have a feeling in the next episode we might see a crash landing back on At-Aten, and then maybe Jude and the crew end up on At-Aten as well, and the kids have to fight the pirates off to protect their homeworld. I don't know. That's just my guess. Comment below what you thought about episode 6 of Skeleton Crew. Where do you think episode 7 and 8 will take us? I know for sure one thing is clear for me, is that Wim is still the legend that he is, and I love Wim to death. Or not Wim, Neel, hashtag Neel Nation. Neel is my boy. He still is a great little kid. Wim's growing on me. Fern and KB, I do like them. KB is a sweetheart though. If you don't like KB, I hate you. And Jude is just, Jude Law is just being great. But Brutus, the like werewolf pirate hunter, Urkel with the little robot eye or whatever. I like the show, man. It's really interesting, but I'm curious to see if they stick the landing. So comment below your thoughts. If you'd like to follow my other social medias, links for those down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for coming on by. If you'd like to support the channel, the best way to do that is by liking this video, subscribing if you're new, and hitting that bell so you don't miss future videos. My name's Big Cam. Once again, thank you guys so much for coming on by, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace.